He stood quietly at the corner of the decorated hall, his hands awkwardly tucked in the pockets of his worn-out blazer, one that didn't quite fit him anymore. The music, the laughter, the glittering chandeliers, it all felt like a world he didn't belong to. He wasn't supposed to be here. He was just a guest. A friend's plus one. But that night, something happened, something that would change his life forever. Because before the night ended, the bride, yes, the bride herself, walked up to him, took his trembling hand, and whispered, "Dance with me," before you notice why. People often say life changes in an instant, and for Daniel Hayes, a single father and mechanic from a small town, that instant began the moment he stepped into that wedding. He wasn't rich, he wasn't handsome in the magazine way, and he definitely didn't belong among the glittering guests who clinked champagne glasses and spoke of promotions and vacations. He was there only because his best friend Mark, the groom's cousin, had begged him to come along. "You need to get out, man," Mark had said. "It's been years since you smiled." And maybe Mark was right. Ever since his wife passed away 5 years ago, Daniel's life had been an endless cycle of work, bills, and bedtime stories for his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. She was his entire world. Everything else, his dreams, his laughter, his heart, had faded with time. When Daniel first walked into the ballroom, he felt invisible. No one looked at him twice, except for a few curious glances at his old shoes. He stood by the buffet table, sipping water, trying not to look too out of place. Then his eyes caught her, the bride. Emma Wallace. Stunning in her white gown, but what struck Daniel wasn't her beauty. It was her eyes. There was something deeply sad behind her perfect smile, something no one else seemed to notice. She laughed for the crowd, smiled for the cameras, but Daniel saw what others couldn't, a quiet ache hiding behind all that sparkle. He shouldn't have cared. It wasn't his business. But something about her sadness tugged at something inside him, something he thought had long died. Every time she looked his way, Daniel felt her gaze linger a second too long. Once, twice, then again. He thought he imagined it, until the music changed. The band began to play a slow, haunting tune, one that made everyone drift to the dance floor. Daniel turned to leave quietly, not wanting to stay longer than necessary. But before he could take another step, he heard soft footsteps behind him. Then, a voice, calm, trembling, and strangely familiar, said, "You're not going to leave, are you?" He turned, startled. It was Emma. Her veil had been lifted, her eyes glimmering under the soft light. Before he could speak, she extended her hand, her diamond ring catching the glow. "Dance with me," she whispered, her voice almost breaking. I can't," Daniel stammered. I know who I am," she cut in softly. "Just dance with me. Please. Before you notice why." And somehow, he did. Her hand fit perfectly into his. The world around them seemed to vanish, no guests, no music, no judgment. Just two souls, broken in different ways, finding a strange rhythm together. Daniel didn't understand why his chest felt so heavy, why his heart beat faster than it had in years. All he knew was that she held onto him as if she was holding onto something she didn't want to lose. When the song ended, she smiled sadly and whispered, "Thank you." Then she walked away. And an hour later, chaos erupted, the bride was gone. Vanished. The groom shouted, the family panicked, and police were called. But Daniel couldn't stop replaying her words in his head, "Before you notice why." That night, when he finally returned home to his small apartment, he found a folded note slipped into his jacket pocket. It was written in elegant, shaky handwriting. "I saw your daughter's photo in your wallet when we danced. She has your smile. I wish my child had a father like you. I can't stay in a marriage that's built on lies. Thank you for reminding me what real kindness feels like. Emma." Days turned into weeks, and Daniel thought he'd never see her again. Until one rainy afternoon, a soft knock echoed on his door. When he opened it, there she was, drenched, trembling, holding a small suitcase. Behind her stood a little girl, no older than Lily, clutching her hand. "I didn't know where else to go," Emma whispered, her voice breaking. "You once danced with me when everyone else turned away. I need someone to remind me how to live again." Daniel didn't speak. He just stepped aside and let her in. That moment became the quiet beginning of something neither of them had expected. Two broken hearts slowly learning to heal through morning coffee, children's laughter, shared pain, and late-night talks. Emma's world of luxury had vanished, Daniel's world of loneliness began to fade. Together, they rebuilt something stronger than either had known: a home. Months later, under the same song that once bound them, Emma asked him to dance again. "Remember when I said, before you notice why?" she said, smiling through tears. "Now I know why. Because I was meant to notice you." Daniel smiled, pulling her close. "And I was meant to find you." As the music played, their daughters giggled nearby, and two souls that had once lost everything found everything they needed in each other's arms. And for the first time in years, Daniel realized sometimes you're not invited to love, sometimes love finds its own way to invite you.